All right, you caught me. I just put a napkin in my coffee cup. There's no real coffee in there. Anyways, we have couple and family counselor, therapist, Lori Yusishen here back
Very
again.
good.
Talking about babies, if you're having one, what you got to keep in mind. We mentioned in the first segment things you got to keep in mind as far as planning, and so to make it less bumpy of a transition. Why is it so important to plan?
Well, two main reasons. One is that if you have a healthy, bonded couple, you're going to create an environment for your child that is much more stable and secure for them to grow and thrive and learn. So it's better for the child.
Okay.
Second, that I think people don't think about as often is that our children learn from what we do as much as what we tell them. So you want to think about, what do you want to teach your children about relationships? So you don't want to neglect your relationship because you're looking forward to your children growing up and getting married and having grandbabies, right?
Yes.
So you want to teach them how to have a good relationship.
So they learn from example, obviously. Sometimes, and I don't want to, ruffle feathers, but dads take a back seat. What can we do about that? I mean, it's natural to feel, maybe I should reword this. Is it natural to feel a little bit slighted when mom is focusing most of the attention? And what should we be doing about those feelings?
Well, I think it's really important that dad gets involved. If you think about sitting down at the end of the day talking about your work day, and if you both work in the same place, you have a much better understanding of the politics and the conversation. So if you're both really involved in parenting, you have a much closer connection, you're more involved, and dad and mom can support each other much more strongly.
What about, I mean, okay, we talked about the money a bit, the budgeting. What do you suggest as far as the tensions of that? Because that is one of the top reasons couples fight to begin with, without a child involved.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, setting aside a little bit of money for your relationship is important. And like everything else, times are hard, and trying to talk through the finances and negotiating how much do we set aside and living within your means around that.
Right, and it's the checkups constantly. This goes back to the communication. Relationship checkups you refer to. What are we talking about?
Well, you know what? We get told to see our doctors every year, our dentist twice a year, and I would say that you should see a relationship therapist once a year as well, to do a little checkup. How are things going? Are we on the same track? Having conversations that sometimes you don't have at home. Trained couples therapists can help guide you into conversations that are either difficult or show you some specific tools that you can use in your relationships and make sure you're on track.
Well, you know what? Some people, couples, everybody seems to think when you tag, we're seeing a therapist, they think they have to go when things are, you run out of options. But that's a very good point. Do it as you go along, therefore you won't end up in that situation.
We neglect our relationships too much, I think. We take them for granted. And so just like our physical health, I think our relationship and mental health is very important.
And how soon, I know this is I don't know if it's a medical question or, I'm not putting a thought, but you have one baby, and I've heard people say, because I have friends who are thinking about having a second baby, they say, well, it's the same as having one. Once you already have one, I mean, we're talking twice the stress, twice the challenges?
That's a really good question. I think it's a personal choice. For some, one is ideal, and it also depends on the child. Some children are more difficult than others.
Sure, absolutely.
If you have a colicky child that you really haven't had a sleep for a year and a half, you're probably less ready, stressful-wise, to have another one right away.
When you start to feel the stress, when you start to feel this anxiety, just for the new parents out there, this is kind of normal.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they feel so alone, so it is normal.
It's normal. You've thrown another child into your mix. Life's going to change, no matter what. And it takes some time to adjust to that change.
Well, you know what? Thanks for chatting with us this morning, because it's a huge decisions to make, especially, if you have an active life, active couple, all of a sudden a baby comes in. Doesn't mean you have to stop all that. Just modify a little bit.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, listen, if you want more information and also how to get a hold of you can go to our website, breakfasttelevision.ca, and click on for more information. So thank you so much for popping down.
Thanks.
Right now, it is time for the news.